So you need a wireframe turntable animation for your portfolio or for your social media or something, or you're currently doing a devlog and trying to show off the current state of your NPCs or something. Watch this video and you will know it's easier than you think. So we are here inside the default blank project of Blender. The first thing we have to do is we have to activate a plugin. So let's go to File, no, Edit, Preferences, and Turn. And we have here, you have to check Animation, Turn Around Camera. Okay? So if you toggle that, you should get here in this list, Animate. If you click Animate, you have here this drop down menu to set up your turnaround camera. Okay, so far so good, but we have to do a few other things first. And I would say let's import an actual character to render out as a turntable wireframe animation. So let's delete the default cube, File, Import, and FBX. I have here the original one and only snake from Metal Gear for the PlayStation 1, and we are going to render him out in wireframe. By the way, the rigged version of Snake is available as a download on my Patreon, so if you want to look into an historical character from the PlayStation 1, yeah, head to my Patreon and download it. To keep everything organized, I would recommend to create here a new collection. Let's drag Snake into the collection. Also the mesh, okay. Now let's hide the armature. Now we have our character, and now we need to set up the wireframe version of the same character. So for that, let's just select the mesh and Shift D, left click. Now we created a second version of Snake. Let's drag it out of our collection. Let's create a second collection. Let's name it Wire. Drag him in. And for now, let's ignore the original Snake and let's just work on our wireframe version. The first thing we have to do, because we have still here a modifier active of the armature, so this one is still connected to the original one, and if we post the original one, it will be translated to this version. Okay, so far so good. And let's create the wireframe version. First up, let's make a new material. Hit plus, new. Let's call this wire. Okay, let's, with the second solid snake, let me drop this one out. And with the second snake, we head into the edit mode and we assign the new material. Assign. Now we have this flat color version of the same character, and let's change it into an emission version, so it doesn't get affected by our lighting with just this blank solid color. I like to go with with a bright gray for the base color. And now we take this version. It's a little reminder, we still have here the other version of Snake. Let's take this version and duplicate it again. And this, so the first one is the base, and the second mesh is our wireframe version. So we need a new material for the wireframe. So let's select the wire material from before and hit new material. When you check the browse material, the material browser, we have here wire and wire.001. So we duplicated we copied the material. So let's change this to, I don't know, whatever you like. I like to go with a bright yellow or red or something. That's a personal preference. Let's go with yellow. Let's head into the modifier properties. Add modifier, wireframe. Okay. Now the wireframe is not... We want it a bit thicker than that. So I like to go with 0.1 on this. That's a nice wireframe. Pretty nice. I mean, you can go even more, but you see when you go when it's too thick, you can barely see something. When it's too small, it's also a bit problematic. So you need to find the right balance. Maybe a bit thicker. 0.5. Nice. Now let's hit the 0 on the numpad. Okay, so even from distance in the render preview, we see the wireframe. Perfect. Let's hit 0 again on the numpad. So we have our wireframe version of the character. We have here this is just the wireframe of the character, and this is just the solid color. We need the solid color underneath to not look at... The mesh gets kind of confusing if you can look through it, and it looks very unclean, and this way it makes more sense. And also the wireframe like that, if you put it, for example, in your portfolio, people can check it out, check out the topology of your geometry of your character and stuff. And yeah, let's go with the yellow and the gray. And now let's get Snake, the original one. Let's hide our wire collection. And let's set up the camera for our turntable. So the camera needs something to track to. So for that we need to go Shift A, empty, plane axis. This is the tracking anchor point basically. Let's bring it up. I like to go with chest height on all my characters. So nice. And now we have to adjust the camera. Let's zoom a bit out. Click the camera, item, and 0, 0, 0 to bring it to the center. Rotation 0, 0, 0. Perfect. And now let's rotate it up 90 degrees. Let's pull it up around the same height. It doesn't have to be exactly the same height. Around the same height as the chest of your character. Now let's pull it back like that. Now we can press again 0 on the numpad and check out our our framing of the character. The first frame of the turntable animation should be like this, straight up. And after that we can change more stuff, but later to that. Also, a very important thing while rendering out, we want the right colors. Let's go here in the render properties, color management. By default, view, transform, filmic. I don't like filmic. I want standard. This is how the colors on the texture truly look like. And what else? Yeah, I render Eevee because it's faster. If you're working with pixel-based lighting on your character, you can adjust the bloom or the ambient occlusion. I will go with an unlit version of the character, I think. Let's see. So, oh yeah, resolution. Here we have full HD. So 1920, 1080. If you widescreen, basically, if you wanna render it out for Reels, Shorts or TikTok, you have to change these values around. So you have to put in here 1920 and here 1080. Now you have the perfect aspect for, you know, shorts and stuff. But I will go with the YouTube format, widescreen. Or you could also go with a square perspective for Instagram or something. That's up to you. So let's connect the camera to our empty. Let's take the empty and drag it up here. So now we have everything organized. Select the camera, go into animate. This one popped up because we toggled the plugin, which is in every Blender version available, I think. So, oh no, we have to select the empty, okay? And it will automatically, you have here camera and we have only one camera, so it will assign this camera to this empty axis. Now let's just hit turnaround. And here's also the axis on which it will turn around. We have here one on a Z axis. So as you can see here on the gizmo, the Z axis is this line and it will rotate +1, so in this direction around the character. Okay, so we selected our empty point, turn around. Now we have here this dot line, which means the camera is connected to the empty axis. We now bring up here the timeline. You will see the camera is rotating around the character, but we have one slightly thing to make it cool, to make a nice loop around the character. Currently it's fading in and fading out. That can break the illusion of a perfect loop. We have to make it straight without fading. So we have here the MCH rotation target. Let's select it. And now we get our keyframes. Let's select both keyframes, right click, interpolation mode, linear, so without fading straight to the next point. If we now hit spacebar or here on play, we see no fading, it's just straight rotating around. And if we take now our empty, for example, the camera will go with the empty. So for example, you can take the empty and animate it too and get this nice pan shot from bottom to top, and while it's rotating, so it's also up to you. But let's go with the basic version. Also, I will render on 30 frames. So I want 300 end frames. Okay, it's just my personal preference. So let's hit again the MCH target. Now we have this point here and we have to bring it up to 300. Also, so the first frame is currently the same frame as the last frame, but we want a looping animation, a looping rotation. So that means the first frame needs to be skipped. We have to drag the first frame to 0, like that. So now the first and the last frame are not the same, so we get a looping animation around the character. Perfect. So now we can adjust the angle and perspective of our character. Let's select the camera, hit 0 on the numpad, and so the camera is selected. Item. Let's bring the camera a bit up, I would say, and rotate it a bit down, and more up. I don't know why. Let's pan a bit back, so we get a full glimpse at the whole character model. Like that. Perfect. Now let's make a quick test render. Let's hit F12. Yeah, nice. The whole character is in place. So, 0 on the numpad. Let's hit it again. Perfect. So now we can basically, if we want to, pose our character. Pose mode. It's a personal preference. I think a T-pose would be best for, you know, for just showing off the character's geometry and stuff. Or you make multiple renders with pose, T-pose, pose, and, you know, some action shots, because the character looks very different in a pose. Currently he looks a bit weird, and the feet and stuff, it's also straight. So I will give him, I mean, we could basically just render the T-pose out and pose afterwards, but I will pose him now. Okay, let's give it a look. Pretty nice pose. And if we now hide snake and unhide our wireframe, you see the pose got transformed. Pretty nice. I would always, to be honest, I would recommend always to take not a T-pose. In my experience, poses get always preferred over T-poses, and it also makes the character look more interesting, more dynamic and stuff. So check out some, you know, statues and animes and stuff. They have so many rich poses for portfolios and stuff. So let's keep it basic. I want the background with this gray. You could also add here HDRI or change the color to something else. Like that, but let's go with the default. So, okay. So everything is ready for rendering, and so it really depends on your character. But we have here now character and the wireframe version of the character. We don't want to render out the wireframe version yet. We want to hide it. So untoggle the collection, or you can untoggle here that it doesn't get rendered. Okay. Now let's render out just this one turntable. So, but I will change the materials to an unlit version. But let's work with the light, why not? So, if you work with lighting, I would recommend 3-point lighting. So we have one frontal light that's a bit up. We have one side light that's a bit down. And we have one light that's basically straight from the back. That's basic 1-point lighting if you want to work with lights. And I mean, don't overdo it, but you can change, for example, this side light here to something like this blue to give it more dynamic, more dynamic feel like that. Yeah, and let's go with that. So that's 3-point lighting, frontal, top light, side, bottom light, and mid backlight. And the side light or the top light can be colorful. I mean, yeah, that's totally up to you. Anyway, let's render out the first turntable animation. Let's go here into render properties. Oh no, it's the output properties. And we have here output and here the folder where it's heading. I'm always rendering into the video folder, but that's just a personal preference. And let's name it Snake 1, accept, and here on file format FFmpeg video, encoding, container, MP4. That way you render out straight up MP4 video and not individual frames. So, perfect. Let's render this bad boy out. Render animation. Now you just have to wait until the rendering is done of the first turntable animation. So, okay, the first animation is done. Let's head to the next animation. Now we are hiding this version, the character. And let's get our wireframe back. This version. As you can see, we set it up our lights, but the unlit texture, it's untouched. It's untouched because it's emissive. Emission. Okay. So, and now we have to rename the new video because we would render above it. So let's click again the little folder. Let's call it snake underscore wire. Accept. Make sure to untoggle the rendering icon here, or here the checkmark for the whole collection. Okay. You can also give it a test render, hit F12. Perfect. So let's render this bad boy out. Render animation. Perfect. So we have both our turntable animations. You could do a T-pose, different poses, different camera angles, and repeat the same process. I will leave it just like that. Like I said, if you want the model of Snake, it's a straight up rip from the game. So this asset and those textures and the topology of the geometry of the character is directly from the PS1 game. I will never do a tutorial on this topic, how to do that. Yeah, it's a bit too risky for me, but the character fully rigged is available on my Patreon, so go there. And yeah, let's further process our video to make it a fading animation. Now we have to open up a video editing software. That's up to you. We won't do anything very complicated. That will be possible with every video editing software out there. I'm using DaVinci Resolve in my case because it's free and I'm poor. So currently I have no clips. I have to import my video. Let's go in my video folder, select both videos. Yes, change, why not? As you can see, we have here both turntable animations. Let's switch here in the editing tab. I like to start with the wireframe version. Let's drag it in, zoom a bit in. And next up, the textured version. Yeah, nice. And we need again the textured version underneath the wireframe version. Okay. And I mean, it depends. You can make it longer or shorter. Currently this video is 20 seconds long. I think that's long enough. And now depends on your software, but here in DaVinci Resolve, I have here this little thing here, and I drag it to the middle point of the wireframe. So here the top video is fading out, the underneath video is fading in, and it reveals the full texture. Perfect. I mean, to show a full spin of the geometry, you could also insert one wireframe version up front. But then I would recommend to make the fade the whole clip length. Let's give it a look. It's a bit slow, but for a portfolio also it would be good enough. Or for social media for real, maybe a bit faster. Now we slowly fade in the textures. Nice, looks super professional. Let's very quickly render this video out as a new MP4 file. Let's go here on the rocket, the rendering tab. Let's call it Snake Wire Turn, and browse. Select again the video folder, format, switch it to MP4. The texture file, the quality, the file size would be very high with 80,000. Let's go with, I don't know, 15,000. Or 10,000. Yeah. This will increase or decrease your file size, the file size of your video. and will increase the upload or download time. So audio, uncheck that, we have now audio, and add to render queue. Yeah, to render queue. And now it's here, and start render. Like I said, video editing is a topic in itself. There's a lot of personal preference in this tutorial. Well, I hope you get something out of this tutorial. Shout out to Summer85, who requested basically this tutorial. Or he didn't request it, but I made it anyway. So here you go, buddy. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Snake is fully rigged and textures available on my Patreon. Go and join my Patreon, and please like and subscribe for more videos like this and my devlog. See you in the next one.